As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. All right, guys, same rules as last week. You got 30 seconds. All right. And I'm going to give you one of these when your time is up, and we will move on. So you got to get your point in fast. All right. And we're going to start with, I think, a fun one here. Let me just present the article. It's Audi will offer you an in-car VR movie and gaming experience later this year. Support for Bluetooth VR headsets is coming. So Audi announced its HoloRide feature in-car VR system. You'll be able to use like the HTC Vive Flow, play games in your car, take advantage of all this service. They're going to create custom content to match the car's driving movements in real time to the content you see in the VR headset, for example. So if the car's taking a right turn, the spaceship in the imaginary world will also fly to the right. If the car accelerates, the spaceship speeds up too. There's some pictures here, which if you're listening to this, you can't see, but it's a person in the back with glasses on, basically VR glasses on. So more gaming coming to cars. What do you guys think of Audi HoloRide? Jimmy, go ahead.
You're going to have a record number of children throwing up in the backseat of their parents' car. Not all innovation is good innovation. I'm car sick just thinking about this. Like, why? I guess the one saving grace to it is that you won't have the videos of people running into walls with their VR headsets because they'll be strapped into a seat. But this sounds, it just has motion sickness written all over it in my mind.
Lindsay, go ahead.
That was the only thing I could think of as someone who struggles with motion sickness. This is basically my worst nightmare. I already struggle staring down at my tiny little phone screen and not getting sick from that. I don't know why we need to keep adding experiences to cars. I would just rather have public transportation where I can comfortably sit my butt down and watch something on my phone in peace and not have to worry about all this.
You guys are such gaming and cars haters, like so much.
Such a hater.
Jeff,
Ultimate
go
hater.
ahead.
Well, Jimmy and Lindsay both covered the motion sickness element of it. I too suffer from that in cars, so I'm out. But I will say, look out, Tesla. I mean, this changes everything. This turns the whole car paradigm on its head. Short Tesla, Audi to the moon.
I think you're all wrong. I do think gaming in cars, this is the next great location, like where gaming will penetrate. It's in your car. I cannot wait for this. I would buy an Audi just for this. I think that's that exciting. So kudos to Audi for putting VR in cars. Can't wait to see what it looks like. All right, guys, let's talk about this one. Dutch court rules in EA's favor and says that loot boxes aren't gambling. So this overturns a 2020 decision that fined the game publisher 10 million euros. Now they're saying loot boxes are not gambling. Thoughts and comments on this? Lindsay, start with you.
Okay, so they may not be considered gambling anymore, but EA has held on to this thing where loot boxes are like walking into Target, picking up a new toy as a surprise. But I think the thing is, I don't really know that I care what the court says because people just don't like these anymore. And I kind of just wish that they would do something new, do something innovative, and like let go of the damn loot boxes so that we could all stop talking about them and stop having court fights over them and just like, I'm just ready to be done with loot boxes.
It's an interesting point. Jimmy?
Shout out to all the attorneys on this matter on both sides that made a killing. That's the true loot box, are people's disagreements. It's the gift that keeps on giving. You never know what the court's going to decide, and it wasn't cheap. Having said all that, EA's still probably way ahead here on the legal battle, and clearly it was well worth the fight. So good for them.
Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge win for EA. FIFA Ultimate Team is over $1 billion business for them, so and really high margin. So I know the last couple of years there's been a lot of talk about will that go away. This clearly shows it won't. I think Lindsay's point is accurate that gamer sentiment has sort of shifted away from the loot box, um, but not necessarily for the sports games. I think people still like them, and it's a lucrative mechanic. This also has far-reaching consequences to sort of NFT gaming and a lot of what's happening in play to earn. You know, the fact that it's not gambling is a good thing for the whole space. I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, this is going to give EA all kinds of free reign. You know, they're going to take advantage of this. I mean, they're the masters of loot boxes. Chris says, and this is why everyone should have a budget for lobbying, kids. This is true. It clearly works.
You can't lobby a court, Chris.
Well, I'm sure part of it was, public, what do you call, public sentiment, right, around this. Stuart says, evening all. Stuart, welcome. You're just in time for our lightning round.
Best part of the night.
All right, guys, let's, I did promise another Nintendo story, so let's do that Nintendo story. This one says, former Nintendo America president left GameStop's board because leadership refused to explain how they would turn the company around. So this is Reggie Fils-Aimé, who left GameStop's board after serving barely a year. The company leaders wouldn't articulate the company's strategy, he said, and to me, that was not acceptable. So what do we make of Reggie leaving GameStop's board saying they have no strategy? Jeff, start with you.
I mean, this is a huge bombshell from a guy who's incredibly well respected in the industry and also like very even keel. You know, he's not a guy to just be throwing out, firecrackers all the time. Like he's pretty even keeled in his takes. So the fact that I remember when he joined the GameStop board, it was a huge coup for them because he's obviously an industry luminary. So for him to basically be resigning and saying, I'm resigning because they don't have a plan, should actually be a bigger story, I feel like, than it has been. I mean, that's about as bad of a commentary that I can think of at all, possibly, for GameStop.
Lindsay?
Yeah, I just found a lot of humor in this, honestly. I think that there's been a lot of belief in Ryan Cohen, and I don't want to take away from that, but I don't think that we've seen a lot of changes. And unless somehow Reddit blows up GameStop again, I don't know that we'll see another huge influx of cash. And I don't really know what they're planning on doing with the last one. So I don't think that these comments are off base, but like Jeff said, I do think it's surprising the source of them. And I don't think it bodes well for GameStop, that's for sure.
Jimmy?
I'm surprised Ryan Cohen was allowed to make a comment like this. I'm not sure what he signed to have previously been on the board, but you would think a statement like that. Excuse me?
Reggie, not Ryan.
Oh, Reggie. What did I say, Ryan?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. What Reggie Cohen? I mean, what did he sign? Or I guess how is he not prevented from speaking out like this against a company that he's leaving? It's so detrimental to them. Otherwise, he's like the one person in the room that wasn't screaming to the moon. The fact that they're still trading at over $86 a share when we all know GameStop is worth a solid $3 a share is beyond me. A year later, after all the meme and Redditors, that pushed the stock to where it is today. But yeah, well, there we go.
This to me is like proof positive of the stupidity of retail investors. Like the fact that the stock didn't really move on this news is also like somewhat shocking. I mirror Jimmy's comment of, I don't know how we got away with saying this, because usually there is some kind of, non-disparagement kind of clause in there that he can't say this kind of thing. I don't know whoever thought the guy who sold pet food online was going to be the one to turn around the gaming business like that. It started from the beginning with nonsense, and it's not surprising that it's nonsense. All right, guys, let's move on. This one, touchy one, but I think we have to do it in lightning round. Activision Blizzard disinvited from speaking at South by Southwest due to misconduct allegations. So what do you guys think of Activision Blizzard being disinvited? Lindsay, start with you.
Yeah, the disinvited part is a little awkward because I don't know. I don't mind when companies are left off of things, especially with all the terrible stories that have been surrounding Activision Blizzard. But it is pretty weird to invite and then disinvite. I don't think that you need to necessarily make a statement, but I think you can also just not support these companies pretty easily. And that makes its own little quiet statement in a way that's much different than this. But yeah, inviting and disinviting. And I don't know the timeline of all this, so I can't necessarily comment on that, but it just makes it kind of a weird news story.
Jimmy?
The timeline mention is worth revisiting because, like, okay, that would have made sense a few months ago, but Activision's on the up right now. We're getting bought out by Microsoft. Like, yeah, there's a lot of allegations around if that deal is going to go through or not, and we covered on last week about some people that were profiting off of insider info. But I think if you're not supporting Activision right now, you're probably on the wrong side of the coin. All the sponsors need to be going back to them and trying to get on their good side, because they're going to make a 5-year run, and you're going to wish that you were more supportive.
Jeff?
Wow. That was a strong take there, Jimmy. I didn't see that coming. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, this is like a third rail kind of thing to talk about, but my concern is more like, what is South by Southwest trying to prove here? Because I do worry once you get into this kind of, I hate to use cancel culture word, it's just a loaded word at this point, but what other companies are at South by Southwest, right? Like, are there, companies that work with autocratic regimes? Are there companies that support different things in different states? I don't know. To me, it's like I would rather them have had Activision there. If they want to ask a question about it in the panel, like, hey, you've had some issues in the past. What are you guys doing to help foster a better environment? To me, I think that's a better way of acknowledging that there's the elephant in the room, that there's been problems, and giving them a chance to say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're fixing it. To me, this felt like them just trying to dunk on Activision and get like a headline for it.
Yeah, Jeff, I agree with you. This is like, I think South by Southwest should be the place where that dialogue happens, right? Like, have a panel, have something there where you can actually discuss this and people can come up with solutions. Like that's the whole spirit of conferences like that, of festivals like that. The disinvite thing seems weird and totally counterproductive. It doesn't accomplish much, if you ask me. Like, confront them and deal with it and push for change, I think would have been the more productive path. All right, guys, one last one. This may be the most important story we do. Obviously, it's our chair story, because we're the foremost gaming chair reviewers on the planet. And this is from Engadget, and it's the headline here: toddlers can get their frag on with VTech's baby gamer chair. So it's a baby gamer chair. It has obviously has a seat. It has plastic headphones. It has a little plastic keyboard. It's a baby gamer chair. I don't know what to tell you. Jeff, you're the big gaming chair fan here.
Also,
finally, I was going to say, finally, a chair, as the proud parent of a 14-month-old boy who never sits still, I endorse this. If it makes him sit still for a few minutes and stop running around with balls, I'm all for that. For my own sanity and my wife's.
Jimmy?
We have a bunch of new babies in the family, siblings on both sides, and I'm going to order this for everybody, and it's going to be like the coolest gift ever.
Lindsay,
Jimmy,
you're the big tiny chair fan.
Yeah, and
a gaming chair for babies is like the ultimate. I specifically
collect tiny chairs for the tiny people in my life, so this is right up my alley. The only thing I dislike about this is that the feet on it look like freaky human feet. But other than that, I am in with the keyboard and the headphones, and I think that this is really fun and funny.
Lindsay knows a thing or two about freaky feet.
Chris does not like this chair. Chris says gamer chair for babies. This is why there will be a generation beta. I mean, Chris, what's the issue with? Wouldn't you want kids to start young as gamers? I mean, I would think this is what we all want, right? We want to get them gaming from the womb, right? As early as possible.
Listen, I've seen enough tiny plastic basketball hoops to be in favor of a tiny gaming chair.